This is God, and to serve this God, if I don't serve this God, I go to hell. I will go to hell.
You need to forgive God. First of all, it was like shock, like
Yes.
forgive God. And then people just started breaking down. Because for the first time, they could admit that God did them wrong. Like, you didn't show up for me now. You were supposed to show up when my mother was sick. You were supposed to show up when I prayed for my father. You were supposed to show up and get me that job. You were supposed to show up and not make that person rape me. You were supposed to show up, and you did not show up.
Yeah.
And I trusted you.
But this tyrant that we've been asked to call our father demands from you. So he doesn't just take from you, but beats you and says you should not cry.
Yes. And not only beats you and say you should not cry, beats you, tells you not to cry and say you should say thank you.
Some people will say, God has intention, I didn't do it. So God made them have an accident and broke their leg.
Yes.
And they say, God was trying to get my attention.
Yes. Yes.
It's like a witch.
We are not certain of the real character of this person. So when somebody comes and says, you lost this person, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away, blessed be the name of the God, you are not certain that is a hospital error.
We need to forgive God. We need to admit that he did us wrong. That statement is deeply flawed, theologically dangerous, and rooted in a misunderstanding of the nature of God and our role as his creation. It is blasphemous to say that we need to forgive God. We don't forgive God. We trust God. I've noticed this growing fashion where modern day Christians approach God like a disappointing parent or an unreliable business partner. And that's why people can say stuff like, we need to forgive God for doing us wrong. That statement is not just biblically incorrect, it is very arrogant. To say that we need to forgive God, we're implying wrongdoing, sin, or error. But God is holy, perfect, and sovereign. God does not exist to serve our plans. We exist to glorify him. We exist for his pleasure. And it's just so selfish that we define God's faithfulness by how much he does what we want. Do you realize that if you lose all of your family members in a plane crash, that God is still faithful? God's faithfulness is the truth. It is not subjective to our feelings and opinions. And I understand that we go through stuff in life. We grieve. We lose people we love. We find ourselves in very painful situations. But our response should not be any different than Jesus' response when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane. He groaned and cried, but he persisted in the will of God. So our response to divine delay or divine silence, and we feel like we've been betrayed, our response should be even more trust in God. Because not all broken hearts will find their healing in this world. There is a world where eternity will be beautiful, where we will sit at Jesus' feet and he will recompense and console us for all that we went through.